what's up everybody? Thank you for stopping by the channel. This is Trimzby Cartier, and for this particular haircut, for this video, I'm going to show you guys how I go through my process of a temp fade. Some people call this a taper, but where I'm from in Albany, Georgia, we call this a temp fade. So to start the haircut, I'm going to comb the hair to make sure, you know what I'm saying, that I know how his hair flows. And so with the clipper, I have the one guard all the way open, and I'm going with the grain, and you can see that he's a waver. So what you want to make sure is that you're taking your time. This video is sped up, so I am taking my time. I am making sure that I can see, you know, where the hair goes throughout the head, so that I don't, you know, cause any gashes or cut the hair in the wrong direction and not giving the client an undesirable cut. So I'm being very careful. You can make a mistake, and that mistake might cost you a client, so you might want to be very careful throughout this process. So you'll see that I'm going over areas multiple times, making sure that you know, that I'm cutting it properly and doing everything that I have to do to make sure that the hair is even all over the head. So here I'm prepping my lineup area, and what I did was I closed the clipper so to be a true one, and I just cut down wherever I would do the lineup later on. So I'm always trying to set myself up each time, so each process is more easier for me, and it helps save time. So right here, what I'm doing is I'm starting my first guideline with my trimmers. I'm making sure that everything is neat and clean and it's uniform, so that it'll help me to be more time efficient. And like I said, I'm always taking my time, making sure that, you know, I have these clean lines and that I'm being organized, but at the same time I'm moving in a way that my speed does not affect anything. So now I have my Babyliss clippers, and I have them all the way open, starting at first guideline, and then I closed it halfway, and then I will close it all the way so that I can get that bottom line out. So now I have my one guard, and I'm gonna open that all the way. I'm gonna start my next guideline, and then at that guideline I'm gonna close it to a 1 and try to get out that line as best as I can. Now sometimes you'll get the line out with the one guard, but other times you're gonna have to get that half guard. And what I do is I have the half guard halfway open to get that guideline out, and then I'll close it all the way, and most of the time that works for me. So now I have my 1.5 guard, and I have it all the way closed. And as I'm moving up in the fade, I tend to open the clipper up a little bit more. But since I did cut the hair down with a 1 open, that 1.5 closed should get my fade decent. So I went the extra mile, and I got my 2 guard all the way closed, and I'm knocking down any bulk. So for what I did for one side, I'm gonna do to the other side. So sometimes in certain areas you may need to pull the skin so that you could have a better view of what you're doing, because sometimes one side can be easier than the other. So everybody's heads have different creases and crevices. Everything is not symmetrical naturally, so you have to keep that in mind. So sometimes you will have to pull the skin, or what you did on one side may be different from the other side, but pretty much my system is the same. Whatever I do on one side, I do on the other side and in the back. So for the back of the head, right, I do the same thing that I did on both sides. Clipper all the way open, halfway, then all the way closed to get out that guideline. Then I go to my one, all the way open. Then I close it to a true one. Then I will get my half guard, halfway open, and work my way down to have it all the way closed so that I can get that next guideline out. Then I will get my 1.5. I will open the 1.5. Then I will get my 2 to clean it up. And that's pretty much the whole process. So whatever I'm doing on one side, that will pretty much be the same thing that I do on the sides. And see, this particular process, when I do this actual haircut, it would take me about 30 minutes to do, 30 minutes tops. So like, I would encourage any beginner barber to learn a system and just stick with that system, because over time you will get better and you will get faster over time after you put in the practice and the time. And it'll help you to having a system will help you to get through any type of haircut. So don't be discouraged that you're learning. Just take this time to gain the wisdom and get the knowledge so that you'll be able to be more proficient in the future. So this is another important thing that I do. I normally brush the hair after I cut it so that I can remove any debris, and this will help me to prep for my lineup. So since I want a sharp lineup, I want to make sure that I get the skin clean. So I add some shaving cream on the areas where I'm gonna use my clippers. This actually helps to exfoliate the skin. I use a hot towel, and I massage the areas that I'm gonna be cutting or whatnot with the hot towel. This actually helps exfoliate the skin, clean the skin, and it's like another thing that you could do for the client to make them feel more comfortable. So since I've added this to my arsenal, my haircuts have came out like 100 times better. Because technically what I'm doing is I'm actually cleaning the client and setting myself up for a sharper look. So once I add the shaving cream, do the massage, and then I wipe the shaving cream off, I get some spritz. I actually don't spray the spritz on the client because you can cause a lot of buildup. So what I do is I have these cotton wipes, and I'll spray the spritz on the cotton wipes, and then I'll use a little bit of the spritz in the areas where I want it at, because I don't want to cause a lot of buildup. So since the spritz is drying, I will go ahead and line the beard up. This particular client, he likes his beard to look natural, so I don't have to do a whole lot to his beard except line it up. I will touch it with the razor to finish it or whatever to make it look nice, but as far as this particular client, he's not really too concerned about his beard having a super sharp line. He likes to keep it as natural as possible. So even though he wants to keep it as natural as possible, keep in mind that in this industry, you are serving the people. So whatever the people want, that's what you have to give them. You can suggest different things, but whatever the client wants, that's what you have to give. And having that in mind, doing what the client wants you to do will always have them coming back. So it's best that you not do what you want to do, but at the same time, you know, use your judgment, use your wisdom, and you're in the industry of providing a service, so make sure that you're providing that service. So with this beard, my trimmers are set to where they don't nick or anything like that, so they're very comfortable or whatnot. So I'm not digging too deep into the skin or into the hair or whatever that's causing discomfort for the client, because up under the neck is the most uncomfortable place to be nicked at. So I'm trying to keep his beard as natural as possible, and then at the same time I'm trying to give him, you know, a cleaner look. And whenever I line people up on the lip, I don't go too high up. I just, you know, barely touch the lip. And I try to get it as symmetrical as possible. Sometimes it can be challenging because different people's heads are shaped different ways, and you know, with deformities and all that kind of stuff, and crevices, and you know, all kind of things. You just have to keep in mind that you are trying to give them a symmetrical look. So you just have to try your best to give them, you know, the best quality of work that you could give them. So in areas like this, I am like tapping and going. I'm not pushing down to anything because I don't want to make the client uncomfortable. So for this lineup on the neck area, I do a little pushback, not like an extreme amount. It's like barely a pushback, and on the neck area, I use the whole blade. But when I go around the ear to do that rounded area around the ear, I use the corner of my blades. Now see, that's a sharp line. And see, the shaving cream and the spritz actually assist with that, because it helps to, you know, dry the skin to where it leaves like a little ash line. So that makes the haircut looks a lot sharper. And another tip, you don't just want to hit the line one time, you want to hit it several times to ensure that you're giving a sharp line. So for what I did for on the other side, I'm gonna proceed to do it on the left side. I'm not pressing down on the skin. I'm just letting the clippers do all the work. And as you can see, these trimmers that I'm using, they are the gamma hitters. So like I don't have them like completely zero gap, but you can still see that that line is sharp. So here, like at this point, you don't see me on the camera, but I am checking to see if everything is symmetrical. So now at this point, I'm pretty much done with the cut. Like he could walk out of the shop like this, but I'm gonna go the extra mile, and he has a light area in his lineup, so I'm gonna add some enhancements. And I try not to use too much of the enhancements, just enough to where, you know, he can have a fuller look to his lineup. I don't spray too much because seeing too much, you know, enhancements in the cut, it takes away from it. And then another important thing too, you want to cut the hair as if you're not going to put enhancements on too. So here, you know, I sprayed the holding spray, I added the fiber, and then I had to add some more holding spray, and then I dried the holding spray so that it can lock the fibers in. So with the straight razor, all I'm doing is just making the line that I created a lot sharper. And pretty much like at this point, I'm just finishing, making the work that I did already look a lot cleaner. Making sure I'm holding that razor to the point where it can slide across the skin. Whichever direction that I pull in, I'm pulling the razor handle in the opposite direction. And make sure, you know, that you keep your client dusted off. Sometimes, you know, hair can get in certain places and it'll make them feel uncomfortable. They'll make funny facial expressions, or, you know, they'll make certain movements throughout the haircut that you don't need them to make. So it's best to just keep them as clean as possible so that they can move as less as possible, because one wrong move with the razor in my hand and I could possibly nick somebody, so we don't want that. So try to be as clean and as organized as possible throughout this whole process so that you could minimize anything else happening that you don't want to happen, which will affect your time and all that kind of stuff. So just keep that in mind. So basically I'm just, you know, cleaning up the work I've done already, making sure that I got his neck clean. And so I always go behind myself with an electrical razor. You know, just going the extra mile. And that's something you want to do for your clients, whether if you like them or not, you know. So just keep that in mind. Going the extra mile, you know, ends up in the future getting you paid what you're worth. So at this point, I'm pretty much done. I didn't get a chance to, get a recording of the final product, but I'm gonna show you guys when I showed him in the mirror. He was satisfied with whatever. Everything was good to go. So that's pretty much my process of doing a temp fade or a taper, or whatever you want to call it. I'm dusting the client off, getting him ready for the rest of his day. So I appreciate y'all for watching. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.